Keep doing that.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Tucker, and this is WP Watercooler, episode number 2. Today, 254, right? Say 254?
254, despite
254.
all rumors to the contrary.
Despite all the things that Jason sent out. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about selling digital products with WordPress, ebooks, PDFs, and other downloadables. Let's go around the room real quick, get everyone introduced.
Title.
I know, great title today. Great title.
title.
John, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm John. I am the owner of 9 Seeds, a full-service WordPress-focused web development agency that sells
Full service.
plugins as well as themes, as well as a lot of custom development work. I'm a full-time nomad roaming around the world while running an agency. You can find me at 9seeds.com or wanderingjohn.com or Twitter JB510 or
in random countries, if you happen to be in one.
In 2 weeks in Italy, today in California.
Nice. Good to have you on, John.
California is a totally random country.
Totally random.
Yeah, it's true.
Russ, you're from a different country. Tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm from a different planet, my man. I'm from a different planet. So I'm Russ. I live in Las Vegas. I run the WP Meetup stuff here and WordCamp stuff here. Until this year, I work at WDS, and I'm basically a code monkey. I'm George Stephanus, but with other things other than Jetpack.
You're George Stephanus without a jetpack.
That's what it is.
Sounds kind of like a bummer. Not that anything's anyway. Okay, George, that sounded
wow.
It came wrong.
I just meant
bummers. Like, the jetpack is
tell us about yourself.
Wow.
Are you saying the coolest thing about George is his jetpack?
I was trying to say that.
There's a lot of cool.
He's not even here to defend himself.
George is great. I'm a huge fan and friend. And I am Say, and I stick my foot in my mouth all the time. It's like, wait for it.
Never.
It's coming. I make WordPress, teach WordPress, preach WordPress on at Savory Media on all the things.
Oh my God, this
From
show's
right
a
here.
mess.
Not
It's a mess today.
But
It's beautiful
her site just got deauthorized by Jetpack. So good luck with that. Say, Steve.
Oh,
tell
I
us
was
about
like,
yourself.
wait, what happened to my site? What?
I'm Steve Zengen. I'm the founder of Zeek Interactive, and I run the OC WordPress Meetup.
Awesome. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog, and I run the Whittier WordPress Meetup. And let's see here. Last week we just, yesterday we just had celebrated 2 years of doing WP Blab. So that was awesome. We had a great time. I will tell you, if you ever do one of these water cooler type things or any of these kind of hangouts, don't ever put the URL to the actual show on the internet, because somebody like Roy Savan will go out and ask all of his friends to come on the show and just start trolling the show. And it was an awesome show. So if you haven't watched it yet, feel free to go take a look at that. It was an amazing.
Is that what that whole Hi Roy thing was?
Hi, Roy.
Didn't you once? Didn't you once publish the URL for this podcast, and we had just some random people coming in? Yeah,
we should do that. We should have an episode where we do that.
No, that's never a good idea. No, trust me.
Dude, we had people that were hopping in the show last night going, "What the heck is this?" This one guy had his
were
drink,
they wearing
and he was
clothes?
like, "What?" It was great. It was good stuff.
Oh, man.
So today's
It's
topic.
it's like chat roulette.
Exactly. It was
I
definitely like
literally
chat
just
roulette.
said that.
So I want to talk a little bit about how to sell stuff online, but not in the sense that you need to do any shipping or anything like that. I want to go super basic to start off with, and I want to talk about selling digital products and then just delivering those digital products as a download.
So you mean selling invisible things?
Selling invisible things. You can even buy it with invisible currency if you wanted to.
Right? Oh, we haven't actually talked about payment systems. We should pause that.
We should definitely talk about that.
So
that is a dive down.
That's actually, Jason, how I got started with WordPress. Is I was giving away free code snippets to as the kids would say in Steve's age, they would pimp their MySpace. So I was giving away code snippets, and I wanted to give away premium stuff, so I had to figure out how to make things downloadable. So I had to figure out how to make things like a PDF or a zip. Once I figured out how to do that, I had to figure out how to get it onto my WordPress site. So I went through all those kind of tutorials, and that was not even like selling things. That was just how to make the product in order to sell it. Right?
Wow, so you were actually using WordPress back then. You weren't even using like OS Commerce or like Cart66 or some craziness from back in the day.
I was literally just all my images were up on PhotoBucket, and I was providing a link to PhotoBucket if you wanted to use that as a background. And like if you wanted the entire package together, I had a zip file that you could just download. And once I had that, somebody introduced me to Restrict Content Pro, and then that's how I actually got started with selling things online.
That's cool.
So when MySpace went down, your whole business model just exploded.
My blog went offline the second that MySpace went down.
You're like, and I have no purpose in life. Awesome.
How did you ever recover from the horror that was MySpace going down?
You know, funny you should mention it, because you were at my WordCamp talk, and if you would have stayed in the room, you would have heard the whole thing. Like, it would have been great.
Wow.
He's just asking for the closer right now. This is his follow-up.
Sounds like there's a little grudge.
Bitter, party of one.
So, but I actually used a plugin like Restrict Content Pro. It's not an actual e-commerce thing. It's more of a membership plugin to say you have to sign up and become a member, and you get like a user role of this status. And you have to have, you know, like X status or above to see this download. And I got into it that way. And there's actually a feature that you can actually turn on PayPal or Stripe, and you can actually sell downloads through Restrict Content Pro. And that's how I got started selling things, is basically selling memberships to access my site.
That's cool. So you weren't selling actual product, but you're selling the ability to be able to download those PDFs.
But in order to do that, that transitioned me to use something like an e-commerce solution to sell things digitally.
And I'd imagine that's probably how a lot of the folks here would end up approaching this, is like, what's the simplest way to go about this first? I'm going to put a PayPal button on my website. Somebody's going to click on it. I'm going to get a receipt, and then I'm going to manually send them an email with a PDF download or something like that. And that no one wants to do that. Like that just takes extra time. It takes extra energy. You want the robots to go out and do the things for you. So
if I was going to start this today, I would actually use a plugin like Give WP, which is all donation based. And I would actually just, like, when somebody filled out a donation, it would send an email with, you know, like that zip link or whatever to download the thing. I'd go about it that way, right? Yeah, because now you don't have to put the PayPal button and you don't have to go update it, whatever. It's a simple donation form. They submit whatever they want, and you give them, you know, kind of like an email that says, download this thing that you signed up for. Like, that's where I would start.
I didn't want to finish talking about the old one, though. I want to talk about our first digital downloads, because I have an ebook story.
Do it.
Yeah, please, go for it.
In 2010, I made, also before those plugins, I think even existed, maybe? Like, did they not exist yet? Like, a lot of those, like, restrict content. What year was that, Russ?
Oh, boy.
You were making that thing.
Oh, we've used DDD and Restrict Content Pro for 5-6 years at least.
Well, anyway, in 2010, I built an ebook repository for esoteric knowledge. So you could just download them, but the key thing is we wanted to track the downloads. So I built this whole component that was like off of WordPress tracking the, I mean, the whole thing was built in WordPress. They were just basic posts, but it was like triggered by something, tracking stuff. It was very exciting. Very hand-built, as I used to be.
Yeah, you used to write your own forms and stuff, and upload your own media uploader stuff. So yeah, you know, you've come a long way, say.
Yeah, now all I do is use plugins. I'm a complete opposite of what I used to do. Even when we first started this show.
I remember. Yeah. You're like, don't just use a theme and a plugin. Like, build it off the track.
Yeah. Well, you can't rely on those. They're not going to be around. What are you talking about?
You can't just give somebody $29 and buy a theme. That's crazy.
Okay, but that wasn't even like a thing then.
So you mentioned earlier, John, about easy digital downloads. Can you give us a little bit of a starter, a primer on how that goes and how somebody can start looking into that?
Well, it's interesting. So yeah, easy digital downloads is great, and that's what we're using for plugin sales currently because it includes a software licensing module that we like. But before that, we actually use Restrict Content Pro kind of in the way Russ described. It's a good way to start out is thinking about you're selling access to protected pages being how you sell access to products. EDD, a little bit differently, like you have individual products you sell rather than access to a restricted part of the site. But it's really pretty simple. You upload products to the WordPress dashboard. EDD handles protecting those products so people can't get to them without paying. It also incorporates payment gateways so that it automatically, like you click a button and it sends the money to PayPal or to Stripe, because nobody wants to use PayPal anymore because PayPal's awful, to Stripe or any other payment gateways like Authorize.net or whatever else you want. And then there's a ton of add-ons now for EDD to do all sorts of business process stuff. So the one I mentioned before that we use is called software licensing, so that in the WordPress space, since you're selling support, access, and updates quite often, you get updates as long as you renew your license. And if that license expires, then they don't get to download the updates. So there's a renewal component that gets built into EDD that way.
What I like about EDD is that it's an actual e-commerce solution for digital stuff, but it's also a membership plugin in its own right, because it does create its own membership role, and it does like allow people to create a login to get in. And what's cool with EDD is you only have to have one email account, and then you can buy anything you want on the store, and it spits everything out in like its own invoice. You can break them up by separate invoice or combine them, or you can actually like see like when, like John was saying, when your license is set to renew. You can even do things now where you can upgrade a license, or like you can switch things over. Like it's what I love about EDD is that it's bundled so much out of the box with a lot of solutions. You really don't need those kind of add-ons unless you're going to start getting really specific.
So like looking at EDD's website, they have a starter pack thing. So if you go over to easydigitaldownloads.com/starter-package, you can go take a look at that. So something like that.
You just totally read a URL. That was awesome.
I totally just did that. but by looking at that, you can see that if you wanted to just do basic marketing through MailChimp, being able to do a processor like Stripe, be able to tell people about products that are being updated. If you're somebody who's just trying to sell a PDF, which why I was trying to go like super basic, just a PDF, you could say, hey, this PDF, here it is. I'm storing this PDF, say on like Amazon S3 or something like that. So maybe the URLs can expire after a certain amount of time. So that way you don't go look on Google for, a download for one of your books and you're like, whoa, somebody just put the link to my book directly on here on one of these sites that steals my stuff. And great, now everybody can download my stuff for free. So being able to have those URLs expire is probably something that would be interesting to look at and make sure.
I thought EDD does that though. Like the actual the actual download link for EDD, like when you upload it to the media library, it actually like on the front end it makes it look like a totally different URL.
Yeah, so it probably expires after a certain amount of time or a certain number of downloads or something like
that.
Well,
it probably expires. I don't know about EDD specifically, but if it's because I use WooCommerce more often for this stuff, but it's probably, you said it, right? Expires how many weeks, months, whatever, they can access it, or if they can return, or how many downloads it is.
Yeah,
all that stuff.
EDD, you can say that. You can be like, you can only download this thing 5 times, so you don't have 100 people downloading it. You can time limit it. You can expire it. It does all of that stuff, and that's kind of the out of the box basic stuff. The extension and add-ons, a lot of them are marketing related. It's recurring payments. It's newsletter tie-ins. It's upsells, cross-sells, all of this fancier stuff that most people don't need getting when they're starting out.
Selling PDFs, though, what I do like about Easy Digital Downloads is that you can provide version 1 of the PDF, and like let's say you revise it and you figure something else, whatever, you can actually go into that same product that you're offering and add the second link to the revised PDF. And now when somebody buys that, you can give them both downloadable things. So you can actually say, here's how I was doing it, here's the new version. It's not like you can only give them one thing. You can actually create your own bundles if you wanted to of multiple PDFs.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, standard default stuff just out of the gate with Easy Digital Downloads.
Same thing with
you talked about WooCommerce.
Yeah, I was going to say,
talk a little bit about that.
Stuff. You can link stuff and do all that same type of stuff. I often have clients who both sell in real, like, physical stuff and the invisible stuff. I had one client that I've been going through all sorts of different. I mean, I'm an advising role, not doing it myself, but he's been going through all sorts of different scenarios and combinations of these. He was using Restrict Content Pro with just the site itself for full just downloads, and then moved into WooCommerce, using WooCommerce. I think it was Paid Memberships Pro, then using WooCommerce, and now using WooCommerce and Memberships, which is part of WooCommerce. Or it's an add-on for WooCommerce. So you can kind of string together, like with what John's talking about, all these components to get the proper integration. I'm a little bummed about the split between subscriptions and memberships for WooCommerce, because those go together so often, and so having a price for each of those is difficult. But WooCommerce has also started bundling their products, so you can get a bunch of different extensions for WooCommerce based on what type of thing you're selling. So that's been helpful.
Hey Steve, when you're looking at this stuff for your clients, what are the ways that you're looking when it comes to either going with WooCommerce or going with Easy Digital Downloads for doing some type of download package for?
I would like to answer that.
Well, Steve has something. He hasn't said anything yet other than his name. So.
Go ahead, Russ. Okay. Go ahead.
Go for it, Russ.
No, I was going to say, I think the answer Steve is going to say is it depends on the client, and he's going to look for technology that already exists that gets him 60 to 70% out of the box, and then whatever he needs to tag on, that's what he's going to do.
Hey, John, what do you think my answer is going to be?
I think that if you look for the best solution,
like
you get 60 to 70% of the solution out of the box, and then.
Have I said that before in any past episode?
Every past episode. But we all do, right? Like this is a good point, though. Is it's one of the hard things is there are 50 solutions out there. Like we've mentioned Easy Digital Downloads.
Yes.
We've mentioned how you can use Restrict Content Pro, which is also made by the same people. You can use
Memberships
MemberPress.
Pro.
You can use MemberPress, which is another membership solution to do some of this stuff. You can use Paid Membership Pro. You can use WooCommerce memberships. You can use Freemius, which is a new one out there that is really cool for digital products in the WordPress space for upsells and free to paid models and stuff. But it's overwhelming how many of these there are out there, and they all have or seem to have 25 or more add-ons. It drives people crazy.
I think that's a real problem in the market right now. That specifically, if someone's not looking at it from a development perspective where they're like, okay, you really need these things, or you can customize this. Mm-hmm. How is the layperson supposed to choose? I feel bad for them, and honestly, that is the reason that a lot of people are shifting. I wouldn't say a lot of people are shifting over. Let's not alarm anyone, but people in general are shifting over to other solutions. Yeah, yeah. Squarespace. Because they're looking at all these options, which is great, but it totally contradicts WordPress's entire ethos of decisions, not options. And I think that is a problem across the board, not just in this area, but this is a great illustration of it.
This is one of the things I really like. Again, we've used MemberPress for digital product stuff because it's there's one bundle and then a pro bundle and it's just done. The model of EDD and WooCommerce and having a dozen extensions you buy one by one seems crazy to me. Sorry, Steve. I see that.
So what would Steve say? That's what I want to know.
What would Steve say?
We have used them all. So we've used EDD, we've used RCP, we've used WooCommerce, we've used MemberPress, and you do have to choose the right tool for the job. But the majority of my clients that are doing this kind of thing, we're doing with WooCommerce. So WooCommerce and Woo subscriptions or Woo memberships. That's what we've kind of centered on. This is kind of related and kind of not. There's one that I'd stay away from. It's not really a member site, but it's more of a crowdfunding platform, and that's called Ignition Deck. Stay away.
I haven't even heard about that.
Yeah, it's related, but not really.
I don't go to those pages of the internet.
I was going to say, I didn't get an email from you that had my invite code.
Wait, I want to know about that. Why not? Why is it so terrible?
It's just a big bloated platform that's very hard to customize. That's all. The reason I like
Great
WooCommerce and Woo memberships and Woo subscriptions is most of my clients have memberships and they're selling product on the side of it, right? So it makes it so that you've got one cohesive store where you can buy. When you mix WooCommerce, like a WooCommerce store, with something like RCP, then you have two shopping carts sort of running side by side, or two ways to check out, and that's always a pain in the ass.
I can't imagine having two commerce systems on like
Oh,
that is something I've never seen in a client site. I would lose my mind.
Okay, well, let me tell you where we are.
I've probably inherited 5 of those sites which have 2 e-commerce platforms built in.
But don't you make double the money when you do that? Just like
absolutely,
Yeah,
just like that. Yeah, I inherited a site this week that had 3 forms plugins, right? Which is three times the forms power, right?
yeah.
Well, I mean,
So wait, because I have a first-hand story here.
Your client had 3 emails, so you got to have 3 contact forms.
So you guys all know 9 Seeds recently acquired Web Savvy Marketing's theme store, which was running in WooCommerce, but we have always sold plugins using EDD. And for about a month, we researched what would it be like to merge these things and use one solution to solve them all.
Oh, it's fun.
And well, it's fun, and also we decided we don't really love either of those for being all things. So because the recurring model for us, the licensing is really important, but we didn't like WooCommerce software licensing, so we didn't want to move into that. We didn't want to move themes into EDD because there's this whole order history and automate Woo stuff. There's some great features there. So 9seeds.com currently runs both easy digital downloads for a plugin store and themes under WooCommerce. It will change eventually because it is driving me insane.
John,
we're judging you so hard right now.
No, I know.
John, do I need to take over the development on your site?
No, eventually we just went,
do you need a WordPress consultant?
I do.
I'm actually curious to know the answer to this. Is that when you go to 9seed/cart, like which one loads on default? Does it go EDD or does it go to Woo?
No, that's a Shopify site.
They can't.
We literally ended up doing theme cart, plugin cart.
Right, but out of the box, both of those offer /cart as their thing, and I'm wondering, does WooCommerce win or does EDD win?
You can change all of those. They're not going to be silly and have those as competing.
No, literally, it's plugin-cart and theme-cart.
Anyway, the cart would win because in all of those cases, when there's a default set page, the page default in the system overrides the page content. I don't know who would win against the two default things going up against each other.
What it came down to for us is in WooCommerce, there were so many add-ons that were so badly coded and put IDs of random things and random tables,
right,
that just merging the two databases of data became almost a month long of development time to sort out and get all.
It was better making a cross-reference table or something and just building that out.
Yeah, we took everything from the old store, indexed it by 6,000 IDs, but then some things were using product IDs, some things were using user IDs, some things were using post IDs.
Have you ever tried to convert a PayPal recurring transaction over to a different platform?
Oh, dude, you just explained my entire life.
Set it up as a cron job instead of an actual recurring thing.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Recurring anything. I mean, I work in a church. We do recurring giving all the time for stuff like this. And you never want to switch. You never want to switch between processes like this. You never want to do that. It is the worst.
Well, there should really, by the way, be a plugin called Tithe. Does that exist yet? Because that really should. Can someone get on that? Tithe. Made for churches. There's a whole church market. And I know you know this. But I'm just saying Tithe.
I'm Jewish.
I've never heard of churches.
Just
tell me
all
about
of that over
churches.
here. I'm just saying that would be a great plugin. Someone should do it. Okay, bye. That's
but John, that's a big issue. Is we tell everybody to start out simple and just do a simple, whatever. But one of the biggest things to consider is if you're doing recurring payments, because changing platforms seems really easy until you have to change platforms, especially with recurring payments. Well, we've done it.
So we just did this on Maintain, where we had our own custom Angular form. We switched over to EDD because we wanted the software licensing to track where stuff was being installed on sites and stuff, not for tracking purposes, but more for support. When somebody comes in and says, we want to, we need your help, we can validate a license to see if they already paid and what site that license is tied to see if we actually support them. We made that migration and we switched from a WooCommerce solution to an to EDD, and migrating all that, it took 2 months.
Right, and this is why for our plugins we continue to use EDD because of the software licensing, and that software licensing ties into Help Scout, which is what we use for support. So, and John set this up 7 years ago, so I know Plugin Eyes, like he probably helped you guys with it. It's a great solution for that. We may still move that to Freemius because I like some of the tools in Freemius, but I haven't figured out where to move themes to off of WooCommerce because I'm not the biggest of WooCommerce fans.
But wait, so you're not going to just move your WooCommerce themes into EDD?
No.
Huh.
Yeah, no way.
No way. Because
why no way?
EDD is great for plugins.
Yep.
Not great for themes.
But not for themes.
Yeah.
¿Por qué why? Wow. And dead air. Good times.
No,
Can I ask you that offline? Is that too
there's a lot
of a question?
The theme support stuff that we do ties into forums because we have forum support based forums. WooCommerce ties into that. EDD
forums, not forums, right?
Correct.
Forum.
Yes. No, just forums. No, forums. It also has a ton of automated flows that go through, like a drip email thing that goes out. Like, you've got a new theme. Here's how you set it up. Here's some additional resources. There's all this stuff that we've got built in WooCommerce that it did not make sense to try to recreate in EDD. And EDD is great in being a little bit simpler, but again, I'm already spending $500 a year on both of those. So
yeah,
so I want to spend even more on that.
So your stuff isn't interesting. Now all I want to do is go to 9 Seeds and like poke around on your plugins and your themes.
Apply a theme.
I want to see how they're like related. I'm like, oh, what's your URL structure happening there?
Yeah.
So you can't mix them. Can you reference like how you can't have the plugins and the themes like on the same page? No related posts, no related buys, purchases between the two.
Don't cross over.
They don't cross over.
In our world, they currently don't cross over. They will eventually because we've got a roadmap for product stuff. But it just became it makes sense to do it this way, get it all into a single database, and then later do some kind of a...
So what you're saying, is that you're not able to, as a customer, to go to 9 Seed site and buy a theme and then buy a plugin and then have one track attack.
That is correct.
I think that's an interesting user implication.
Well,
it is how I think about things.
About it from the store owner's perspective.
I never think about
plugins, we only have a couple plugins, and they are extremely niche, and none of them they all existed before the themes. There's no integration between the two. The plugins the themes use are all free. They're all out there or included and bundled. So I really doubt anyone is going to buy one of our themes and our time tracker plugin or our WP authorized.net SIM integration module plugin or whatever. Like, these aren't things that people are ever going to buy together.
Ooh, I love user. Yeah, go do it. Break all his user testing, his user intention testing. Yeah. I love it. What? This is so detailed, but do you know what happens if someone does try to buy them both?
It causes a rift in the space-time continuum.
It does.
The whole site goes down. So don't buy, please.
It would be hilarious if you linked them. That would be great.
Like, there's clearly a theme cart and a plugin cart. If you go through the theme store where you add it to cart, you end up in the WooCommerce cart. If you go through the plugin store and add it to cart, you end up in the plugin cart.
So I just want to make a PSA, right, for our audience that's listening.
Don't get yourself into the situation.
We're being sarcastic when we say that 2 e-commerce plugins equals double the e-commerce power. That's not true. Right? You don't want this, right? 2 SEO plugins does not equal double the SEO power, right? You want one of each.
What it does,
one forms plugin, one e-commerce plugin, one SEO plugin, one caching plugin.
It doesn't double it, but there is something that it triples. It triples overhead costs.
Oh yeah,
it does. So much.
That's what it does. So that's why you don't want to do it. No, it'll get resolved eventually. But
please don't.
I think the overall message is you should really plan on like how it is you want to sell things online, and then see what mode or model fits what you're trying to do, and then go down that path, right? Don't just go buy WooCommerce and hope it's going to work. when you really just need to sell something online digitally, and you could get away with like a free plugin from .org.
I'm gonna add something to that. Wait, hang on. Not just phase one. You got to be thinking about what the future of your business is, right? You have to understand.
If you're ever gonna sell a thing, if you're ever gonna sell a thing, don't start in something that's not gonna let you sell that thing. What Steve said. I just wanted to say it too.
I was getting there.
Well, Russ, this is what Steve would say if he was going to end the show. I want to say thank you very much for being on the show today, all of you, and hanging out with me and being able to talk a little bit about this stuff. I know that people love hearing these conversations of why did they pick this? Why did they pick that? And those are the things that people really want to hear from us. So thank you very much. They do. So thank you very much for hanging out with us and learning about how to do downloads and being able to purchase them and go through all that sort of stuff. So go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com/subscribe where you can find all the subscription stuff there. And if you like this stuff, hit the little thumbs up button. And lastly, if you know somebody who's trying to go through this and they want to know how to do this, send them a link to this. I would appreciate that very much. Talk to y'all later. You have a good one. Bye-bye.